Get to your feet and help me welcome to the stage my best buddies in this business, David and Camille Weiser.
Whoa. Let's talk about freedom, right? Isn't that what we are all about? And they called us, or I got an email from Ken, and he said, would you talk about your story? And I said, whoa, our story. I didn't think that was coming so quickly. We're going to talk about our story in front of all you wonderful people. And I said, gee whiz, what are we going to say? What story should we tell? And but I thought about it a little bit, and I said, and Camille and I talked, and I said, every one of you out there has a story. And we all need to hear your story sometime, especially in the near future. What do you think? Good idea, right? And what's very interesting, too, is in other businesses and other places out there, very few people ever want to hear my story, right, or Camille's story. Now, they want to talk about their story and their issues and things like that. But in this business, we learn to want to hear about your story, what you're about. What do you want to do with your lives? And we learn to. It's more satisfying to be interested in others than ourselves. And one of the things I'll never forget is we learn to take our eyes off ourselves and put them on others. And this is great principles of life, and really makes a big difference in how we treat each other and how we go forward. Now, I have a disclaimer, okay? And that is, we're not here to edify ourselves. And we're going to talk about the things that have happened to us since we got in the business, and some of the challenges and some of the things we had to overcome, but we're also going to talk about some of the great things that happened to us in our business and in our life since we've been in the business. And so the reason we're up here telling you our story is to let you know what this business can bring to you, what this can do for you, because what it has done for us, it can do for you. And that's what's so wonderful about the business. And I can say to anyone who is getting in the business for the first time, there is no reason why you can't do as well as we have done, as well as the most successful diamond has done, because their sky is the limit. And so what we're going to do is Camille's going to start and tell you a little bit about her background, then I'm going to tell you a little bit about mine, and then we're going to go back and forth so that try to keep it short and interesting, and hopefully we'll all have a good time. And here's Camille.
Doesn't he look handsome? Look at the dude. He is shining tonight in his silk suit. I love it. Okay, I said to a couple of leaders here, I'm not nervous coming up to teach. Why am I getting the jitters telling my story? I may forget my own story, so I'll have to backtrack. But like David said, we're not here to brag about ourselves. We're here to give hope and to encourage all of you to put everybody on your list and don't prejudge, because, we look good, we smell good. I thought we did. I didn't even know that David was worried about our future at the time we saw the business. So, no, you do not prejudge. Everybody goes on the list, no matter how successful they look, and we'll tell you a little bit about that. But, okay, so I have to start with the beginning. The beginning, for me, starts around 1960 when I came to this country. Do we have about 3 hours? No, I'm going to be fast. In 1960, my father had already come to the United States. It was after World War II, and Europeans either went to South America, Australia, or the United States. So he was fortunate. He had 2 uncles here, and he came with a work visa. And then he sent for my mom, and then for my sister and I. So we, this was the land of dreams and the land of opportunity. That's why I get so excited just to pledge allegiance to the flag, because we are in the greatest country in the world. People just yearn to be here. Yes, and I remember myself as a little kid, oh my gosh, America, we couldn't wait to come to America. And so from there, we, of course, had a lot of challenges as young kids, the language, school, people making fun of you, you had an accent, and everything. But you know what? I really believe God made me strong because He put all these challenges in front of me at a very young age that I was able to overcome. So the rejections and everything else. And all I can say is, at one point I got mad because I thought, we came to this country, and all I heard from my grandmother was, oh, your mom and dad, they are sacrificing to bring you to America, and that's why they're just making such sacrifice to get you there. So I came here, and all these little challenges started. You're a little kid. I was 10 years old. And, you don't want to hear the challenge, but okay, if this is the land of dreams and opportunity, I don't care who's laughing. I don't care what they have to say. So by the age of 12, I already worked after school because I was going to make money. They told me I'd find money. Get off the airplane, and you're going to find the roads are paved with dollar bills. I got here, and I'm looking. I got a bad posture looking. I'm always looking down. But anyway, so fast forward. We want to make that part brief. I became a very studious person. I was always a teacher's pet because I needed every teacher's help. And I don't know that I had much, wisdom or smarts, but I did have a lot of guts because I was young and stupid. So nothing was going to stop me. And I did work for a few major corporations and did very well there. And then one of my dreams as a kid was, I wanted to be an actress. And, I was the little Miss Entertainer when I was growing up at home. And, I figured, well, let me start with modeling. And I didn't want to do corporate life. I didn't like being cooped up inside, in these business atmospheres. So I thought, well, okay, I'll start and I'll do commercial modeling because I wasn't tall enough to do fashion. So that was another part of my life. I did some commercial modeling. Well, I learned very fast that doesn't pay the bills. And I was so used to, from age 13, making money after school, and then at 16 going to Wall Street, tell them I had graduated high school, long story, got a job and everything. But so I was a go-getter. And I thought, okay, see, I forgot my own story, but I got to go fast because I'm thinking of 10 different things at once. So it doesn't pay the bills. Modeling doesn't pay. But again, it prepared me for this business, and I'll tell you why. Rejection, no's. When you went on a call for a commercial or a print job, 20 other ladies went too, and they called it a cattle call. And, I learned very early on in that business that they weren't saying no to me. They were saying no, I wasn't their type that day. So that prepared me for this business, for the no's that we get, when we're showing the plan. And not everybody's interested in that. And that said, we don't want everybody. We just want a few winners. All you need is 6 to go diamond. So somebody out there, thinks like we do. And so since that wasn't going to pay the bills on a steady basis, and I had an apartment in Manhattan and everything else, I thought, I said to the modeling agency, I know there's a trade show coming in. I like to go and apply because at least, 3 days of doing that will pay my high rent in Manhattan. So I went and see Destinies. This is how I met David. And David had a national sales agency in high fashion menswear, but they needed someone that had some executive talents and organizational skills and so forth, not just a pretty face. In those days, the models walked around in hot pants. I said, I'll never do that. I'm not going for there. I will run their business. And sure, that's what he wanted. He needed someone that would coordinate the sales force with the manufacturers and clients and everything else. Great. And I went. They had private rooms, so I went. But during the time of this modeling, I would take temporary jobs, and I was working for the chief of staff of New York University Hospital, only on one condition, that he would give me the time off when I needed to go on these go-sees. So my appointment with David was at 9:30, and then I was going back to the hospital to work for this guy. And it's 9:30, there's no Mr. Weiser. It's 9:31, no Mr. Weiser. I said, I'm going to give him 3 more minutes and I'm out of here. So it was 25 of 10. I mean, he's 5 minutes late. And I start walking, and you see how destinies? We wouldn't be here today. We would have never met for a matter of seconds. So as I turned the corner on the 13th floor of the Statler Hilton, because that's where the whole group of suites that they were renting was, the doors open as I'm ready to walk into the elevator. He looks at me. I looked at him. He says, you're the young lady from the agency. I'm so sorry. We're late. And I said to him, and he says, I'm sorry we're delayed. I said, you're late and you got 5 minutes. I've got to be out of here. And I thought, who is this girl, But you know what the best part of it all was? He wasn't the one that hired me, because behind him was his whole entourage, the whole sales force. And they're the ones that got to talk to myself and 20 other gals, and I got the job. So long story short from there, he was always ahead of his time. He wanted to put a woman in the sales force. And I saw, you see, the dream is very important, what you present to people. And I saw these sales reps, young men, a few matured ones. They're driving Mercedes, they're driving Rolls Royces, and I'm thinking to myself, what do they have that I don't have? See, and I was already thinking by that time I was not going to pursue my acting and modeling career because I wanted to make major money. And I thought, okay, I'm going to send my resume to a bunch of cosmetic skincare companies like Revlon and Chanel and all that stuff, because I thought I'll go and train the ladies in the department so I could still travel, but at least it'll be in a different level. And since I worked with so many photographers, I knew just, how to do all that kind of stuff. But he hires me because I don't want to go through all, it'll take too long. He hires me because he saw a person that he's been thinking about, putting a woman on the sales force. And so, long story of it, I was the first female sales rep, traveling a territory. Now, in New York in those days, this is in the 70s, you could find them in showrooms. But he was training me, like the other salesmen, to have my own territory. And it was very, very important to me to be financially independent, you see. So, and he recognized that. And I have to tell you, when we used to come to these functions in the beginning, and we used to see the diamonds on stage and how they talked and how they take their eyes off themselves and how they help others. And I'm going, oh my God, I've been married to a diamond all along and I didn't know he had a title, So that's my diamond guy anyway. Okay. Okay, well, a few years after that, we're in love. Fast forward, we have 2 beautiful daughters, Gabrielle and Francesca. We are empty nest now. One lives in Manhattan, the other one in Portland, Oregon. And they couldn't have moved further from me. The one in Oregon, way out there. But she's happy, so I'm learning to be happy. And I have to tell you, David had created such a beautiful lifestyle for us. It was a dream come true, but it was very important to me to be financially secure and independent. And he knew that, and it could never happen between us until I proved myself that I could do that, because I came from a very disappointing first marriage. And but you know, God either has a sense of humor or a plan. So you got to go for it, you know. And it just made me appreciate David so much, you know, so much, the kind of man that he is. And I think from so this grand lifestyle, it was tremendous. You know, we were the Jets, the people, and I'm not bragging. I just want you to get the feel so that you're not going to be afraid to contact people that look good. We had this beautiful home in Spain with servants. We would go to Italy and spend 2 months at a time and rent a beautiful villa. And I'm from Italy, obviously, so I love going to Italy. So, and we had, you know, our apartment in New York at the time. We had an apartment here on Longboat Key. So it was to me, oh my God, the land of dreams and opportunity. You know, this was America. This was not really America. This was an unusual situation. But you know what? I never let it go to my head. And I always thank God for the blessings. And we raised our children never to look at those material things, but to look for the goodness in people and the character within people and themselves. So that's the story up until our daughters. Now it's David's turn.
Yeah, 5 minutes. That would have made the difference, right? So life is full of thin threads, and that goes for this business as well. You never know. You know, it's that person you see for a minute or two can make a big difference, or you can make a big difference in their life. Anyway, very quickly, my life was a little different than Camille's, not as interesting, not as dramatic. I was born in Philadelphia, a middle-class family. My father was an immigrant, and he built a business, came to this country with very little, and built a business. And it was a successful business. I can't say it was grand, phenomenal business, but it was a successful business, and we never wanted for anything except my father, because he was a workaholic. In building this business, something just happened to him, and it really had a very negative impact on the family, I have to say. But he provided for us, and we respected him. Except, we had that situation. And my mother also worked, as a matter of fact. So I came from a really hard-working, hard work ethic family, and an ethical family as well. And I went to the University of Pennsylvania, went to the Wharton School, I went to the law school at Penn, and discovered that law was not for me, okay? It just wasn't adventuresome enough. The lawyers were too serious for me. I had to find something a little more interesting. And because of my father's attitude toward work and everything, I tried to go the other way. So I says, I don't know what I want to do. I'm going to Europe. And I had some money because I had worked from the age of 13 in my father's factory. And then when I got older, I was, believe it or not, a Sunday school teacher for a while. So I had, kept saving money and so forth. And I left for Europe. I was going to go for a year, but I went for 3 years. And the last year, I wasn't in Europe anymore. I went to, it was part of Europe, actually. I went to the eastern part of Turkey, Izmir, Turkey. And there is where I met Jerry Harless. And I was working for at that point, after 2 years, I had odd jobs. I was in London. I worked for Selfridge's department store. Here I was an attorney, putting Christmas cards on the shelf, right? Then I worked for, I had a great job. While doing that, I met the principal of the American military school. And so he said, "What are you doing here?" Got in a conversation. I said, "Well, I got to make a few bucks, And so he said, "Well, we need substitute teachers." He said, "We got plenty of substitute teachers for the regular courses, but we need gym teachers because the women from the military would be the substitute teachers, but all the men were busy, working in the military." So he said, "You're hired." And I made a lot of money there for England. They paid American salaries. So I was making like half a week's English salary in a day there, and that was exciting. Then I became a tour guide of England, and I had to put on my British accent for a while I was driving these people around, because they wanted, they thought they had a Brit with them. That was another story, how I talked myself into that, right? And then in the middle of the thing, I would suddenly lose my British accent, start talking American, and they were Americans, and they loved it. It was a great thing, and I became friends with a number of people doing that. But finally, I ran out of money, and I had to go to work, so I went to work for this financial firm out of Switzerland. And it was basically a multi-level kind of situation, which I had never seen before. And so I ended up in Izmir, Turkey, at the PX. They had a contract with the PX to sell mutual funds. And I'm setting up my booth, and next to me is Jerry Harless setting up his booth. And he's selling cars for, I think, American Motors at that moment. He did Chrysler and American Motors. And we became fast friends. And it would take hours to tell you all the exciting adventures I had with Jerry Harless. It's a good thing. It's really interesting I'm still alive, And but we had a lot of fun, didn't we, Jerry? It was great. And so then I came back after 3 years, and my uncles had a selling business. They were selling reps in men's clothing in Pennsylvania, Baltimore, Maryland area. And they said, why don't you come and join us? I was heading for the Philippines, actually, at that point, because for the company I worked for in Switzerland, they had an opening in Manila. And that sort of freaked my whole family out. Here's this nice Jewish boy from Philadelphia, and the black sheep, traveling all over. They didn't know Jerry at that point yet. They really would have gone crazy, right? So I said, well, I have to be respectful. I'm looking at all the different opportunities. And my uncles, I saw their business. I said, wow, for that little area, they're doing phenomenal. And I said, I'll give this a shot. This was I said, maybe I can set up something like I saw working for that financial company. And so I did. I set up a sales agency. We went national. We were quite successful. And it was really fantastic. But, I had seen something, and I applied it to something else. And one of the things I wanted to accomplish in life was not to have to work all the time like my father did, And, he was working more than he had to, actually, but I didn't want to get into that. And I said, gee whiz, this is a great idea. Have a group of sales associates and have a whole territorial split with them and help them get good lines and take care of all the bookkeeping and some major accounts, and we'll split the commissions, where I take a little bit and they get a lot of each one. Sound familiar? All right? And that's what happened. So then Camille came along, the girl of my dreams, and we had 2 daughters. And really, my whole life changed at that moment.
We celebrated our 30th anniversary this past May.
Thanks. So now we're going to cut to the chase, okay? We're sitting in our apartment in New York City, 1989, March. I just remember this, right? And I get a phone call from my buddy, Jerry. Now, Jerry had been all over the world. And in 1975, just by accident, I happened to be in Longboat Key, invited by a physician friend of mine from Philadelphia. And I fell in love with the place, and I bought an apartment. Now, Jerry and I had only kept in touch once in a while. Every Christmas, or New Year's, Judy would send cards, so I knew where they were. They were in Vietnam, they were in Bangkok, they were in eventually Panama, and so forth and so on. And one time they came to New York, we got together, and then that's Christmas, 1970, or the Christmas after. I'm not exactly sure. I get a 76, or I get a card from Judy. It says Bradenton, Florida. I says, that's next to Sarasota. What are they doing there? Right? And I had bought this place in Longboat Key, so I called Jerry on the phone. I said, hiya, Jerry, what are you doing back in the States? He says, oh, David, I took a trip and I decided to come back, and we took our motorcycles and we drove up all the way through Panama and Mexico and everything, and we're here, and I bought a business in Bradenton. He says, Dave, you got to come here. He says, this is the most beautiful area of all of the United States. I mean, this is what he said. And I said, Jerry, I've been there for a year, and I agree with you. How's that for amazing thing? Okay, and it's all right. And then, of course, we spent a lot of time together. We would sail together. We were coming down all the time, anyway, for vacations and long stays and so forth. And Jerry this was 89, right? So it's a long time, 76 to 89. We're just having a great time and started to raise families and all this stuff, right? And Jerry's business wasn't doing that well. And he was really complaining when I would see him, And then one day, this is March 1989, I get a phone call, okay? I'll never forget, it was a Saturday morning. And I'm sitting at the table, and Jerry says to me, hi, David, how you doing? I said, fine, Jerry, how you doing? He says, I'm getting into a new business. I said, oh, that's interesting. What's it all about? He says, well, you got a paper and pencil? I said, yeah, sure, Jerry, right? So he says, I want you to draw a circle. Right? Now, I don't recommend this approach, okay? But we'll go a little further, right? I want you to draw a circle. Okay. Now, I want you to put 6 spokes out from that circle, and I want you to draw 6 more circles, right? And then he says, and I want you to draw 2 more spokes from each of those, and I want you to put, he says, the middle circle is you, and then you're going to sponsor some people, okay, and you're going to do X, and they're going to do X and X, and within a couple of months, you'll be making a couple of $1,000s a month. I said, oh, that's interesting, Jerry. I said, yeah, and it's the Amway Corporation and so forth. Very good. I've heard about them somewhere. I didn't really know anything about them. And I said, well, let me ask you a question, Jerry. Are you in this business? He said, yes. I said, Jerry, and I swear to you, I said, Jerry, if you're in, I'm in. That was it, all right? All right? Because we were great buddies, and whatever he was doing, So I hang up the phone, right? And it says, I'm going to send you up a kit and everything. It's for $200. I said, Jerry, is this a real business? I said, I had dinner in New York last night for $200. Right? Oh, it's a great business, David. You'll love it. Okay, great. So I hang up the phone, and Camille says to me, so what are we in? What is going on? I said, I don't know, Camille. I said, Jerry's had trouble in his business. He's on a rebound here. I better get involved here and so I can save him from having a problem, right? So up comes the kit. Jerry calls me. I hadn't had time to open it up yet. And March is a busy month for us, in early April. And eventually one Saturday morning, I opened this thing up. Now I have a legal background. And I'm going to check this out because I want to save Jerry, right? And so I start to read. It was a big, thick book of all the legal stuff, right? Now, when you're a lawyer, you skip the main stuff. You read the footnotes. Once you read the footnotes, you're going to find all the problems, right? Because that's what and I'm reading this thing, and I'm starting to look at the products and everything. And I spent 2-3 hours doing this, and at the end, I said to Camille, I can't find anything wrong with this. This looks legitimate, okay? And I said, we got to start. Jerry's in this thing. We're sort of in, I guess, right? And let's start buying some products. So that's what happened. And now, Camille, you finish the part of that story.
Well, see, what happened is, what are we in? My gosh, I had no idea, but I thought, okay, well, David will save Jerry, and, he'll be all right, because David would look out for Jerry. What we had made plans that year that we were going to move to Florida permanently. It took David 10 years to cajole me, because I was a diehard New York girl. I lived in Chicago and in Philadelphia, and there's nothing like New York. I said, get me back to New York, God, I'll never leave again. So, because I thought every city in America was like Chicago, L.A., until I got to Philadelphia, very cliquey town. And so I just, but it was good because I immersed myself in my work, and I did very well. So he'd been after me to move to Florida. Since we could have lived any place in the United States, it didn't matter where he ran his business from. He loved Longboat Key. And we did. We would come in the winter months, and so the kids, this was home away from home, and it was beautiful. But frankly, it was a little too old for me. Now, we're going back, 1989 is a long time ago, and I was a little bit younger then. So, and I said, I'm not ready for golf, I'm not ready for the golf course. But 10 years in the making, we decided, fine, and 3 times we had put a deposit on a house. Finally, I said, okay, why not raise the kids in paradise? Something clicked one day, and I said, okay, let's do it. Let's do it, because it was getting a little bit too rough in New York. So now, this is March, and in June, we had already made plans to move to Longboat Key. And this is what happens. He's very smart, David. As I'd love to say, he has all the degrees, you heard the whole list, and I have all the common sense, so together we make a great team. And I thought, well, okay. We moved to Longboat Key, and he was smart enough not to move our whole apartment from New York there. He said, go and buy stuff, because if you don't like it after a few months, we'll go back. This was a blessing, because, see, I'm like a bird. If you close the cage, I'm just going to go crazy. But he left that back door open, that I could always go back to New York if I didn't like. So I was really going to give it a shot. Well, anyway, so we moved to Longboat Key, beautiful. And the sunsets around 8 o'clock are magnificent during that time, June, beautiful. And there's Jerry calling David to go to meetings. And, I wanted to watch the sunset, and the meetings were at 8 o'clock. This interfered with my sunset view, But I'll tell you what we did do. Our friends are in a business that has all these products. And see, Judy was very smart. Very, very smart. I didn't know I was in a business. I thought we got in to save Jerry, to help Jerry. I'm going to buy anything and everything I can from their business. These are our friends. Judy comes over with the kid. I didn't know it was a kid. With a gazillion catalogs at the time. And I'm going through the well, I'm not going to need this. She never stopped me. I'm throwing out catalogs that I'm not going to need. She said, well, you just find things that that you want, and fine. So long story short, I sat on my sofa, and for about 3 hours I went through the catalogs I kept, and I furnished all the things I needed for my home in Florida, because everything was in New York. I think that month Judy and Jerry went 4,000. But this is the cute story. I called Judy, and I have like 3 pages of orders, written down. So I said, Judy, I have my orders. Very smart, Judy. Very, very smart. I said, I'll give you the order. She said, no. She said, listen, you call the corporation. There's a number there. They're very nice. She says, and you just give your order, and then you can use your credit card. I said, but Judy, I'm not sure I have the right thing. She says, they're so wonderful. Go ahead. So I call up, and I get this wonderful Amway operator. And so I start off by saying, I'm brand new at this. And so I have an order. I'm not sure I have, all the numbers correctly, so you'll have to bear with me. 10 minutes into my order, she says, excuse me, did you say you're new at this? She said, Mrs. Weiser, she said, the way you shop, she says, you're going to do very well in this business. So that's when Jerry and Judy, I think that month went 4,000. But you know what I learned? how convenient it was. Here I am with the kids. I was so blessed to be a stay-home mom and raise my kids because I did my careers, you know. And I love playing with them. But what was nice, every day we come home from there's boxes, and then we open them, and there's all this stuff, towels, sheets, rugs, you name it. And it was every day. Then I go throw a party. I'm going to run over. I'm throwing a party, and I need wine glasses. All my wine glasses, my Waterford and, Baccarat are in New York. So I thought, well, let me go to what was the name of that department store at the time? It's closed. It doesn't matter. One of those. And I go, and I'm looking for a salesperson. I want to just go in and come out and get my, 8 glasses and go and have a dinner party, the next night. Can't find anyone. I'm getting frustrated. And I'm thinking, I just furnished my whole house. It's coming to my door, and I can't get anyone to help me. This is... And that's when I said, I can't be the only mom with young kids that, is going to appreciate this way of, because you have to understand, this is 1989. We were not catalog shoppers. Today we're internet shoppers. But so I thought, gee, this is pretty good, because I got so annoyed that the people in the department store couldn't get 8 glasses. It took 2 hours to do this. And I came home and I'm complaining to David. It took 2-3 hours of my day to go buy 8 glasses when I furnished my whole house in 3 hours, So that was to be, all the little things started to plant in my head about this business. So let's see, where am I, David? You got your notes on top of mine. Let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. So every week, Jerry would call David to go to this opportunity open meeting at the time, and I'll tell, make an excuse. Excuse after excuse. I have a headache. I don't feel well. I wanted to go have my sunset, with the kids and everything else. And finally, David had said yes to Jerry, and I said to David, oh, come on, David. We don't want to. We're helping them, aren't we? Look, we're buying all our products from them. They're doing just fine. Why do I have to go? He said, well, if you don't want to go, then you call Jerry and you cancel. So I said, these are our friends. So I said, what am I going to tell them? No, I have a headache. I can't lie. So I thought to him, all right, we'll go. We'll pay our respects. We'll say thank you, but no thank you. And then we don't have to have this thing every week if we have to go to an open meeting. And I think that's where we were left.
So we go, and the point of this really is Jerry spoke to everybody. He didn't care. He wanted to make sure that everybody was exposed to this. And so that's really the point. And he didn't care that I was all the way over 1,200 miles away either. He was going to get this in front of me one way or the other. Now, from March until August, when we actually saw the plan, I had no idea what the business was all about. I didn't have a clue. We were in distributors or IBOs at the time, but I didn't have a clue what it was about. Well, we go to the open meeting, and there is Ed Nickman. And he's showing the plan, and he's making everybody feel good, and he's telling about the dream and everything else. Now, you got to understand, I'm in the clothing business. I mean, you want to talk about a business that's filled with people from the street, tough guys. The tougher you are, the meaner you are, the more successful you are, This thing about being kind and gentle, and thinking about other people. Edifying others. The only people in the clothing business edified was themselves. That's how, that's the kind of business we were in. And I'm sure it didn't apply to everybody, but it applied to enough that, this was the kind of business it was. So, Ed is like, he's fantastic, and he's a businessman. Jerry put me in front of the right guy. And then he says something to me. Where are you going to be 5 years from now if you continue doing what you're doing? And boy, the lights started to go off. The red flags started to wave in my brain, everything. Because my business that year was 30% off. We were in a recession, a slump, and it was a scary deal, okay? And Camille didn't know this. So she'll tell you that she had no idea about this, but my expenses had increased. We had all this stuff going on in these other places, and then we had moved to Florida on top of it. And my expenses are up, and my business is down, and I'm waking up in the middle of the, cash flow is a big thing in a business, right? And I'm waking up in the middle of the night, 4 o'clock in the morning with cold sweats. Boy, if this continues, I could be in really hot water. And so I'm listening to Ed, and I understand the business. I said, wow. This is fantastic. This is 100 times better than the business I have. This is just the greatest thing. I mean, you buy and you promote to other people, and it's like you've got this huge shopping center in the sky. I mean, I make commissions from clothing. I can make commissions from everything that people buy. This was phenomenal. So I turned, but I'm still skeptical, by the way. That's my nature, especially in those days. And I turned to Camille, and I said to her, well, what do you think? And she turns to me, and this was very unexpected. I thought she was going to say, let's go see the sunset again, And she turns to me, and she says, David, what do we got to lose? Let's get moving. Let's get in this thing and start doing things. So we got started, okay? And I'm going to move a little fast now. We made our list, and I took example from Eddie, from Jerry, and we made our list. And the reason I said Eddie is because he's in my other business, okay? All right, but that's beside the point. Made our list. And we put everybody on, and because I could see that's what Jerry did, okay, and that's what we were told. Don't assume. Camille says to me, well, why are you putting everybody on your list? I mean, these other people, some of them, they're so well established, and a couple of these people don't even like people. They're never going to have anybody in their house that's a stranger or anything like that. I said, look, Camille, I said, we're going to put everybody on the list because we're going to succeed at this, and it's going to be 2 or 3 years down the road, and people are going to notice, that we've got another business going and things are going well, and they're going to ask me. They're going to say, what's going on, David? Your lifestyle's changed a little bit. You're doing some other things. What's going on? Well, I got in the Amway business, and, well, how does that work? Well, you invite other people in to join you. Well, why didn't you invite me? Is what they're going to think. They might not say it, but it's what they're going to think. You didn't invite me because you don't think I'm good enough, or you didn't invite me because you're jealous of me, or I said, that's not right. Plus, why should I assume, right? And one of the couples that we would have never expected to build a business, okay, went emerald before we did. So you never know. One of the ones, Camille said, well, maybe, they wouldn't even be interested, right? So you never know what's in somebody's heart and what their situation is. And today, by the way, my other business is not 30% off. It's 40% off. So the flags and the bells are really ringing now. Okay, and after, really analyzing everything, there is no better business in the world, and I know I'm repeating what other people have said, but it is true. There never was a better business in the world. But today, we really need, as everybody has mentioned who's been up here, we really need to go out and help other people because we need it, and just about everybody else in the world needs it as well, because freedom is very important. It's not just having a great business. It's not being a slave or beholden to others because you can't take care of your own things, your own financial things. And this business will help a lot of people. And we've had that experience. We have helped a lot of people. And, oh gosh, I had so many things to tell you. This is unbelievable. No, but I have to tell them a few things. We started building our business. Steve and Annette, Doc and Laney, Judy and Jerry became our mentors and supported our business. We built our business basically in the Northeast because we had just moved down. And they would come up month after month after month helping us. I mean, in what other business would you find that? And I wasn't a very friendly person when I got in the business. I had to learn to be friendly. You know, I was a very skeptical person, just the nature of what I was doing before. And I learned how to edify and how to be a servant. And I saw Tim Foley, you know, and one night he did a BBS, one weekend a BBS, and it was late at night. He was tired and everything else. And Camille had lost her camera, and he stayed up with me. I knew he was exhausted. He stayed up with me, organized people all over the hotel to find her camera, right? And here's like the head of the business here in my mind. And in my other business, the guy would have blown me off, you know, like, oh, I got to go to bed, see you later, you know. Here's Tim Foley, and he's talking to me for like 45 minutes. It's midnight, you know, and I'm saying, and I'm trying to change the conversation. I'm trying to say, Tim, what do you think about this? And no, David, tell me about yourself. Tell me. I walked out of there. I was said, this is it. This is our business. This is where we got to be. These are the nicest people in the world, and they really want to see us succeed. Okay? Steve, I'll never forget little things. You know, we had a picnic on an island off of Fort Myers, you know, and I'm standing there. We were just beginning in the business, okay? And I went to him, and there was something with a product. I don't want to get into the details that I was unhappy with. I go to Steve, and I start complaining in the middle of this party, okay, about this product, right? And Steve, like, just didn't hear what I said, you know? And he starts talking about some other things that are positive and everything else. And it clicks in my head. That's what you have to do. Don't be negative, be positive. Right? Then I got invited to Steve and Annette's home. And we were hanging around, and they were just, you know, being friendly and wanting to know more about me and getting friendly together. And I'll never forget. And this goes back years and years and years. Annette says to me, David, she said, when you build this business, okay, the business will give you peace of mind. Now, I had never had peace of mind in my life, all right? I didn't know what that meant, right? And suddenly that clicked. Yes, I understand. We went to our first convention. We would not be standing here if we hadn't gone to our first convention and met the people and saw the lifestyle and saw the goodness that was there, you know, and the way they conducted themselves. I had a great cup of coffee. Who with? Clarence Freed. Went to an open preview, and I don't know if somebody else did it, but I was there, and Clarence and I sat down afterwards, had a great cup of coffee. We became instant friends, instantly. And look what's happened. You know, that cup of coffee. Without that cup of coffee, you know, maybe, I don't know what would have happened exactly. But the fact we became instant friends, and we started to help each other and build the business. And look at Clarence today. What a great leader he is. When we went in a year and a half, we went platinum. In 4 years, we went emerald. We bought a motor coach. We traveled every summer for 4 or 5 summers, actually 5 summers with our family. Quality time is great, but let me tell you something. You can't beat quantity time. And these are all things that are available for you. And we have many, many more stories, but we have to keep a few left because, you know, we got to save it for another time, okay? And Camille now wants to play a video.
Again, we're not bragging. I have an Apple computer, so these are photos of the last couple of years and of some of the things we've done. And at the end, I have some photos of some of the friends that we have made in this business that we're so blessed and thankful for. So we wanted to share with you a little bit of what we've been able to do through this business. And so go ahead, you can start. So there we are with our daughter Gabriella in Rome at the Trevi Fountain, having a good time. David at Santa Margherita, waiting at Portofino for a yacht to take us around Italy. That is Cinque Terre. Cinque Terre means 5 medieval towns in Italy, and we hiked all the way up the mountain. When we came down, we could dance in the street. Music was waiting for us, and we're just beautiful Cinque Terre. You never tire of walking around in Paris, no matter where you go. It's just romantic and wonderful. From Arc de Triomphe to Champs-Élysées, and meeting people and just having a great time. Girls, you cannot leave Paris without going to Fred's jewelry store. He is famous and they've got the best. And how about dining at restaurants where Bill Clinton and Putin and Chirac and all these famous people. Now, we did not drink that big bottle of wine, but we did have about 5 desserts in this restaurant. It was awesome. And of course, you're in Paris, you got to shop Italian, Valentino, Missoni, La Perla, Capriata. I mean, beautiful stuff. And of course, you've got to go to a restaurant named after you. All right, so there I am in front of Camille's. Beijing, beautiful, the 13 tombs. What history, what unbelievable stuff. And the Forbidden City with friends that we have made in China, and it's just amazing. And a dream come true, the Great Wall of China. Can you picture yourselves there? It's an experience you must do in your lifetime. That Great Wall of China just gave me the goosebumps. And this is the biggest crystal diamond-shaped chandelier I had ever seen. And we had to take a photograph, so we went from the elegance to fast food in Beijing on the street. Isn't that awesome? And these women are there frying and doing stuff. And here I am with Francesca on the Lake Hangzhou. Just a little time while David was working there. Porto Cervo, Italy, and Sardinia, where the jet set of Europe goes to vacation and play, and we just loved it here. This was an apartment we rented for a month and overlooking the Porto Cervo Marina and enjoying the life of the rich and famous, observing the yachts. Every yacht, I think, had a helicopter pad on top, and we go there year after year. But springtime in Sardinia is intoxicating. The blazing colors and the scent of the flowers, awesome. We met famous people like DJ Jad with a cap. He's the Italian rap star of all of Italy. And there's my Romeo, and doing all these wonderful things together with my David. It's just fantastic. And if renovation is your hot button, I have some before and after. This is my kitchen before. I was the general contractor, designed everything. This is my kitchen after. So this was last year. This got finished. And that's my daughter Gabriella. This was my dining room. As you can see, I hired all the subcontractors. I handled everything. This is before and this is after. I like color. I like punch. I like vibrancy. I'm not a beige person. So that here's the den before, David's favorite place. I made friends with all the workers, gave them excess and energy bars. This is David on a winter night in Florida in front of the fireplace. That den that was all white, there it is. You see that table? That was my desk for 6 months. I handled every worker, let him in the morning, out at night, and there it is after I got done with it. I had so much fun doing this. So much fun. And again, the workers love the positive attitude I set in my house when they came in. And this is the bedroom after. And of course, being in China and Beijing and Shanghai, the beautiful silks I was able to buy there really did it beautifully. A faux painter licensed in Paris did all my faux paint work throughout the house. Gorgeous. I love spending time with my mom, and she loves all the renovations and things that we've done. And family time is very important to David and I. So there we are walking on the beach with Mom, and Gabriella's in the background, just having fun. There's Francesca, and of course we're empty nest. So one is in Portland, as I said, the other one in New York. So we have to go and visit them. And Francesca in Portland in the Rose Garden, and she is so fond of Portland. Bless her heart. So, of course, equal time to Gabriella, off to South Beach. She was there on business. I hop on a plane and I go, or fly up to New York. That's the view from her apartment. Where does she get her style from? I don't know. How about Christmas time in New York City at night, Times Square? Just wonderful things we've been able to do. Back home, David is becoming so good at playing tennis that he beats me every time, but I still enjoy my workout with the girls in the morning. You know, we pump it up every morning at 8:30, and that's my thing. We love to play. David catches the fish. I cook it no matter what size it is, and we have lots of laughs. The best time is walking the beach on Longboat, taking in all the sunsets I want, you see, and dreaming and thinking about what we're going to do with this business and how we can help people in our business. My favorite people, Annette Woods, Grace, Judy, you know, these are the friends you make and we're blessed with. And Doc, we will never forget Lainey, Doc, and thanks for everything you've done for us. And there we are at Q12 with our buddies, Jerry and Judy, and our great friend, Clarence. Friends like Tim Foley and Dan Stevens and Mercons, and it's just wonderful. So I want you to enjoy some of the friendships that we've made along the way here. These are trips with the business in Colorado, or on a cruise with Doc and Mandy and Roders. Just wonderful people. And, you know, getting visits from the Vastas is always a treat. I love when they come to visit. And sharing in the festivities of our downline friends with marriages of their kids, you know, and just sharing in that happiness is just all the pluses of this business. And some of my favorite people again, Annette, Judy, and Hannah Childers at one of our Q12s, dining with Jerry and Judy and the Vastas. And there's Mandy Rhoda. She's been around a long time, and she's a great lady. Love her. And now for Grandma Bick. She's always the one taking photographs, but I got one of you and David, and it's great. And David and Clarence, great buddies at one of our functions. Just terrific. And our heroes, we end with Steve and Annette Woods.
So we thank you for listening, and we wish you all the best. And let's really get out there and do it this year. Let's just rock this thing like we've never done before, because the timing couldn't be better. And God bless you all.